So I've been married for 21 years, and we have
Hmm.
4 kids together. We are currently separated, and
And
I actually left. And so there's been cheating, lies,
hmm,
and just I felt we fight the same battles over and over. And I
what are
just
the battles?
want to. It's mostly the same conversations about the same women that he keeps, bringing in to our marriage behind my
Wait a minute.
back,
Whoa,
of
whoa,
course.
whoa. What does that mean? The same conversations
Like
about the same women that he
because
keeps bringing
he
in. There's three
yeah
parts to that.
he works with this female that they keep having conversations behind my back that shouldn't be. Um, and so we
One,
keep
is it
having to have
one?
that conversation. It is one that is really a concern. There might be a couple of more that I've seen like on our phone bill before that we've had conversations about. But there's just this one particular girl that has really been a problem for the past maybe 3 years. He's already left the house one time. He left back in 2019, and he stayed gone for 6 months. And then we agreed, we talked, we had conversations. He told me what he was going to do to try to, to fix our marriage. He told me what
What
he
was
was
he going to
not
do
going to
to
do
try?
anymore.
Stop, 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 stop. What was he going to do to try to fix your marriage?
He was going to put boundaries up. He was not going to have conversations behind my back to people that he knows that he shouldn't, and that he was going to be honest with me. He was going to share his phone with me and let me see like daily, just to give me that comfort, daily activities on his phone. He was going to, um, he basically just said, start being the person that he knows he needs to be for our marriage.
How?
And he was going to go to church with me. He was
How?
going to,
How is he going to start to be the person that you need for your marriage?
he said he was just going to start having conversations with me, conversations like how, we would never really talk about things. We would argue about it. He was going to, talk to me about things, have conversations with me.
Right. But what
He
you're
was going to,
everything, here's what I want to make you aware of. Everything you're describing is results that you're asking for, right? They're good things,
mm,
good behaviors. But
yeah.
what's going to bring that change about? What's going to make him able to do all these things he's never been able to do?
Well, I had asked him to, because he's had a porn problem before as well. So he told me the whole 6 months that he was gone, he never once looked at it. And he was going to
Okay.
start putting not taking his phone like in the
Okay, but
bathroom,
listen.
things like that.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna say this again.
Okay.
Everything you're describing is basically about something called self-control. He's going to get in control
Okay.
of himself, right? He's going to start being better
Yes.
with you. He's going to stop using porn. He's not going to talk to this lady. He's going to exhibit a lot of self-control. He's going to have better boundaries. He's going to have self-control, right?
Right.
Okay. What was going to produce that self-control? The Bible says that self-control is a fruit. It comes from something. So when you have addicts, for example, and they say, I'm going to quit drinking, they don't, they aren't able to pull that off until
Mm.
they go get in some sort of a process, the fruit of which is going to be that self-control. But the work is going into a process where they're dealing with themselves and they're going to 12-step groups or recovery therapy, all this kind of stuff, that there's something that's going to empower that. So what I'm asking, was anything in the picture that was going to help change him?
I don't guess so. And that's probably
Okay.
bad on my part for not
Well,
realizing
it's
that.
not, no, it's not bad on your part. That's not what I mean. It's normal for all of us
Yeah.
humans on our part This is normal. And this is part of why I'm saying this early before you've even told me the rest of the story. Is it's kind of like the New Year's resolutions approach to life. I'm going to be different. It never works.
Wow.
And so from your chair, the reason I'm bringing this up in the beginning, before I even hear the rest of the story, is one of the things that you are going to have to look at and require is if you're going to have, I don't know what he's saying now, I'm going to ask you in a second, but whatever the future holds, if you're going to have hope in it being different, part of it has got to include some sort of methodology that's going to build his ability to be different. Or we're just going to continue to do the same thing, expecting different results. Okay. So that's why I asked that. So you said you've had this conversation, all this, however many months ago or years ago. So now where are we now? And tell me the question.
Well, after he came back, things started happening again. Porn started being watched. Conversations behind my back started happening.
Yep.
And the way he even acts about sex is really mean towards me. If I don't give it, he like doesn't do something to me in return, like doesn't go with me somewhere, doesn't go to church with me, doesn't go, our plans break. So my question is, now I'm not there. It's the first time ever I've left and I'm not there. And so now he is begging for me to come back and let him be the person that he knows he can be and show me, because he said, I know I can do this time.
Okay.
And he said,
and why does he know that?
He says he is going to counseling. I don't really believe him on that. I even asked him, I said, can you show me proof that you're going? But he did say he was going to counseling. And
all right, so give me your question. He says he's going to counseling, but we don't know if that's true, and we don't know what the counseling is. So
I guess I'm just trying to know, like, things that I could look for to see a change in somebody, to be able to, I want to be able to trust him again. And I want my marriage, of course, to work, but I don't want to go back through the same path that I have been on.
Yeah, good
so
for you.
Like, what kind of changes?
Okay, let me help with that. And I want to applaud you for everything you've said. Number one, being committed to your marriage and wanting it to work, even in the face of all this stuff and the continuing, broken promises, and standing with it. And also, is he paying attention to the kids and all this separation, all this? He's got 4 kids.
He does. We still have 2 that lives at home. 2 have grown. They're on their own. And we still have 2 that live at home, and he does. He does have something to do with them. Yeah.
All right. He's being a good dad in the midst of this, even though he's
a good dad.
Not getting good marks.
He's not a good husband. Right. He's a good dad.
All right. Okay. So here's the deal. You said, what do you look for? I'm going to give you, and I'm going to suggest you get my book, Necessary Endings, because it goes into the very, very specific structure of what you need in order to have hope, and when is it not hopeful. Okay. Now, I told you before you even explained it, remember, I went way back and told you based on what was happening back then, there was no hope. And that's what we saw happen. Right. Well, is that because I'm so smart? No, it's because I know the laws of physics. And so, I mean, if we're up in a treehouse and somebody takes an orange and throws it out, and they say, I hope that flies. Well, I'm going to go, that thing's not going to fly. Okay. That's not smart. That's just knowing how things work. So when somebody tells me, and when they got a pattern of behavior that's been confronted and talked about, it's hurting another person and has consequences in life and all that, and they tell me they're going to change it, but they're not giving me a methodology of what's going to produce that change, I'm just going to say that orange is going to fall. It's not going to fly. So what are the things that are going to, you need in place for there to be hope? Well, I'm going to go over a abbreviated kind of quick list here, but I want you to, if you can, to get that book, Necessary Endings, and it goes into specifics. But here's the deal. Number one, we need an admission on his part. It sounds like this: I have a problem. I can't keep myself from running aground. I can't keep myself from crashing. I can't keep the commitments that I make to you and to myself. Okay?
Okay.
And I am unable by myself to change it. I got to come out of denial. I've continued to tell myself that I'm going to be different, and that is not true. I may think it's true, but it's not true. So the first thing we need, just as any psychologist would tell you, or any 12-stepper who's ever dealt with an addict, what are they going to say? What's the first thing they say? That they are powerless over their addiction. All right. It's the same thing the Bible says when it says, blessed are the poor in spirit. When we realize I'm unable to do this, it's the same thing that Paul says in Romans 7. I can't do what I'm supposed to do. All right. So we need an admission from him that he's failed and that he realizes the second step, that he needs help. Okay. That's what I'm most concerned about here is he's got good intentions apparently, but he needs to also understand that he's not going to be able to fulfill those intentions without some significant structured help. Number 3, that he needs to self-motivate to decide he's going to go to said help regularly. And what I would suggest that help consists of is some kind of individual counseling, some kind of addict-oriented group like SA or Celebrate Recovery or some other kind of thing that'll help him with his sexual addiction. Okay, even though he might not be acting out with women, you haven't really talked about that, but he's got porn and he's got flirtation and all this kind of other stuff. Okay, and joining a group, and then somebody that he's accountable to on a regular basis that's monitoring his life with him, the self-observation, and some way of verifying that he's doing all this stuff. Okay, so you're not wondering about it. So you got a coach involved, a mentor, maybe a peer, a pastor, somebody like that. Then next, the two of you getting some counseling together. So he's not just able to kind of tell his side of the story, okay, and knows how it's showing up with you. And then next, that you are seeing some kind of drive on his part where I don't want you nagging him into having to go get help and go into his meetings and say, I want to see the impetus and the energy coming from him where he's pursuing, as the Bible says, hungering and thirsting for doing what's right and being in this process. And then I want to see some sort of change happening, movement. Doesn't mean perfection, but it's going to be you really, whoa, this guy is different. Okay. And then we want to see a track record of that over time. Now, if you see all of that stuff, including the track record over time, then we can begin to say, okay, I'm beginning to trust you. And then you trust him in little bitty increments until he earns your bigger trust. And that's kind of the way this works.
Okay. And then do you recommend this going on and no kind of like, of course, communicating because we have kids and stuff, but do you recommend like no kind of like talking about us or like even like meeting up and stuff, just give him time to do this kind of stuff first?
Well, that's why I said I wanted you, this is why I said I wanted you guys with a counselor together.
Okay.
Okay. Because I think they could help you outline that path. Here's the problem.
Okay.
Here's the problem with, look, you got kids, right? When you tell them, okay, after you do your homework, then we can have some ice cream. All right. Well, what happens when you start feeding them the ice cream right when they sit down at the table to do their homework?
Homework probably doesn't get done.
Probably doesn't get done, right? Or it's got, chocolate all over the paper. So it screws up the process. So here's the question. I'm not saying no contact. And I'm not saying working on y'all is having conversations do that is against some sort of rule. What I'm asking is, what's it in the service of? Does it help? And see, every action in a process like this, we have to ask, why am I doing this? And is it serving something good? Okay. Now, if talking along the way is serving his in some way, if it's helping motivate him to continue to do what he's doing, you let him lick the ice cream cone after every problem, they solve a problem, then you give them a bite of the ice cream, that keeps them moving. Great. But sometimes what that does is it kind of takes away, it takes away some of the motivation, it distracts. So we don't know without asking, is it helping or hurting? And so far, the track record is when the two of you talk together about us, then that hasn't gone anywhere good. And that's why I'd rather have a third person helping you to design that. Okay. Got to run to some other callers. I hope that's helpful to you.
Thank you so much. It's very helpful, and I appreciate it so much.
You're very welcome. I'm going to give you access to boundaries.me. I'm going to give you a subscription to boundaries.me because there's a lot of courses on there that'll cover a lot of this, and Albie will get your information about all of that. And I would say to your husband, there's some things I hear in there that I have some hope for. You want to change, your marriage matters to you, buddy. You got some forces inside of you that are out of your control. Okay. You know what Jesus said to people struggling, to all of us? He said, look, I didn't come to judge you. I'm not here to judge you or condemn you. I'm here to help you. That's what he said. And he said that what he came to help with was the stuff that was broken beyond repair. You can't fix it. So I want you to get over this feeling that you're going to all of a sudden be able to do what you want to do. I'm glad that you want to do it, but you're not going to be able to do it if you don't dive into help. Dive into help. I'm pulling for you. And anybody else that's listening that identifies with some pattern that is costing you and destroying you, get some help. Get some help. Help helps. Now, when help doesn't help, then get some different help. If you go to a restaurant and the food sucks, you don't go, well, I tried food. Yeah, I tried. I hear people do this all the time. Well, I want you to go see a good counselor. Well, I tried counseling. As if counseling is like ibuprofen. All right, well, I tried that drug. It didn't work. I think there's other ones. There's other ways to deal with pain. Okay. Maybe you saw a crummy counselor. I don't know. Maybe it's the wrong time. Maybe you didn't go enough. Maybe they didn't understand your problem. Maybe they misdiagnosed you. Maybe they were untrained. There's bad restaurants. There's food that'll give you food poisoning. It doesn't mean you give up on food. We still need food. So get some help. Help helps. We know it does. We know it does. Just got to find the right help.